We are all about great causes here at Sex and Space, and we have another one coming at you. Today's shout-out is for UN Women Aotearoa New Zealand. UN Women is the United Nations entity for gender equality and the empowerment of women, with a mission to ensure that globally all women and girls have equal opportunities. Women's empowerment is about ending violence, responding to women's urgent needs in an emergency, providing training and supporting women's employment, leadership and economic development. UN Women Aotearoa New Zealand is one of 13 national committees spread out globally who contribute to the mission of UN Women. Their role in Aotearoa New Zealand is to mobilise women's empowerment efforts through raising awareness, contributing to projects that deliver better outcomes for women and girls, and investing in sustainable projects that support local women to autonomously support the empowerment priorities of their own communities. Check them out at unwomen.org.nz.
Sex, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the speculative interdimensional vehicle, Sex in Space. Its mission, to explore new points of view, to seek out fresh opinions, to boldly go where so many have gone before, and still somehow manage to totally miss the point. Subscribe to Sex in Space, wherever quality podcasts are found.
Hello, I'm Tim, and welcome to another episode of Sex and Space, here interminably exploring sex across all of its infinite dimensions. Hope that all is well out there in podcast land and you're strapped in for another awesome interview. This week, I'm sharing a natter I had with Viv and Jo, the founders of Girls Get Off, a new female-focused sex toy brand. Stick around. It's a good one. Before we dive into that, though, just a reminder, if you're in the market for short, digestible, bite-sized clips of our content, and let's face it, who isn't, then head on over to our website at sexandspace.com, scroll to the footer, and hit the YouTube icon. We have an ever-expanding plethora of vids on there, some cut from our interviews, and others which are exclusive content. Please subscribe while you're there too, it'd be a massive, massive help. So, to the interview. Viv and Jo, aka Girls Get Off, are on an absolute mission to empower women in all things pleasurable, removing the stigma or taboo that comes with talking about and making the most of getting off. They are all about riding the O train and helping other women do it too. This chat was not only really fun and eye-opening for me, but also informative and very important. You'll also be able to find the video to this whole conversation over on our YouTube channel, so you can put faces to Viv and Jo if you so desired, and see all the strange things I nervously do with my hands when I interview people. It's a real treat. I hope you enjoy this as much as I did. Let's climb on in.
And now, the interview.
Welcome to Sex and Space, guys. Thank you very much. Viv and Jo, here to talk about Girls Get Off.
Thanks for having us.
And the amazing product. But let's start with your origin story, if that's okay. I hear it's very interesting.
Yeah, take it away, Jo. I mean, it was your idea. We were having some drinks during lockdown at a social distance, but Jo was the one who sort of brought it up first.
Yeah, I think I needed to put more thought. Really, I needed to remember that stage of what actually planted the seed in my head, but now it's just become the story of me saying to Viv on our driveway over a few gins, we need to start a sex toy brand.
How many gins?
Yeah, you're on your bike, hey?
Yeah, I know. I had to bite down. I think also what we realised is it's something that had been brought up lots within our own friend groups. Like we'd seen kind of the trend happening across different Facebook groups the likes, and then also once we sort of looked at the marketing, you know, like after we'd had that initial discussion and we looked at the marketing, it was like, for all the ways that we as consumers, especially women, make our purchasing decisions. For example, if you looked at like skincare, if you look at sex toys, there was no one making it feel normal. Like sex toy shops are so gross, and if you want to go and buy a sex toy online, it's so overwhelming. There's so much choice, and there's not a lot of like female focused stores.
Yeah. At the time there was actually nothing. There was nothing focused at wellness, focused at like, this is actually something positive for females to be doing. It was very much a, oh my gosh, seedy, like, you know, she's going into a sex shop to buy a sex toy type of thing. And there was nothing, just making it normal and then encouraging it.
Amazing. So I spotted the line, is it sex toys without the ick or something like that? Is that out there somewhere? Like, no, it's true. It's a, did you like research that it's a hurdle for people to get past that kind of ick line, or
for us it was
right,
you know, and so it didn't really take much research, because it was like, if we're feeling like this, surely a lot of others will.
And the only reason you buy one is because one of your friends says, you know, after a few drinks, like, oh my gosh, I got this new toy, you should buy one. That's probably the only reason you would. It's not like you find an ad online or something, or go, oh, you know, certain, I'm not going to name no, but, you know, like certain sex toy store, like that, it's looking really inviting today, maybe I'll just go in and have a little browse. Like, you never do that. And when you do go into the sex toy shop, you like bring a friend, and then you kind of like huddle in the corner and try
go in the back door, not the front door.
So it's not something, the experience itself just wasn't there, and that's what we sort of picked up on really early on.
So it's a pleasurable purchase. It's you know, you can treat yourself. It's that kind of vibe is what you're going for.
It's taking something that was always seedy, don't really want to speak about, to a positive experience that you want to share. You want to share with friends.
And the angle of like self-care, is that kind of where it originated from as well, or is that, I see it's kind of built in a little bit, but that
it was definitely one of our main focus points at the start. I think it's the brand's evolving just on its own at the moment, and becoming what people want it to become. Like, we're just listening to our audience and kind of going in the direction that they're leading us. It definitely started off very self-care focused,
which it is, but I think for us now, actually what we've found is that it's more just about like having the conversation and making it really normal. So even though it is a massive part, it's totally important as part of like your wellness and making you feel good about yourself. At the end of the day, above all, it's actually, let's just have like a really normal conversation about it, and something you can share with friends, or to the level as well that, you know, you can learn to love yourself and know yourself a lot better, because that's normal. And then you can also talk to a partner about that too, because I think while we're called Girls Get Off, it's really been about not just the girls, but the girls and their partners, and it's been so rewarding for us.
Let's talk about the product itself, because it is, now let me get this right, it's a clitoral vacuum. Is that, so how did that come about? How did you decide that it wasn't going to be a, you know, 12-inch black rubber cock or something? That's going to be this cute
that
little...
wouldn't tick our box of non-CD.
Exactly. I mean, I don't really know, but it seems like they are kind of quite a new addition to the kind of sex toy market, are they?
I
think Lily Allen might have one or something like that, or she's put her name next to one. Is that even the same thing? Am I completely wrong?
I'm not sure.
I think you might be talking. Nicki Minaj had one in a music video, I think.
Okay.
I think.
But
at the end of the day, it was like, again, it comes back to the intimidation factor. So you don't want to go to the random sex shop because yuck, gross. And when you go online and it's next to all the you know, maybe the fetish clothing that you've never even seen before, or maybe it's next to the 12-inch big cock that you're like, that's on, like, how would that work? How's that supposed to work? So it becomes really intimidating. So for us, it was about something that was, again, is really normal. Like, it would be totally fine for you to just leave in the bathroom.
Like I don't know if I should be saying this, but my son, until we launched, like I even 2 months after we launched, my son still thought it was fake, like get your makeup off your face type of thing. And he's 13. It wasn't until one of his friends at school told him that his mum said to my mum, one of those stories, what I'm actually selling. And it can totally pass as that, though, you know. It doesn't have it's not intimidating. It was something that ticked all our boxes, and to normalize, so it started off like, I guess, self-care, self-pleasure, but we've found our audience, a majority have partners, and so it's just become more about female pleasure in general. But having this as our kind of starting product that is not intimidating for the people that have never owned a toy before, which we get so many messages of these people.
Yeah.
And it's just as good for like a really experienced toy user. It just ticked every box, and that's all we were going for. I think it's scary for a lot of women that have never owned a toy before. My generation, which is quite a bit older than Viv's, definitely you feel guilt around pleasure. You feel guilt around self-pleasure and everything else. Anything to do with masturbation, I think it was totally like guilty, not right. And we get a lot of messages like that. So for somebody that's grown up through that to go straight for like a big dildo, something internal, it is still intimidating for them and everything. So just the fact that it isn't internal, it's, you know, it's less scary, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely less scary.
It seems to straddle that sort of perfect line of between especially through reading the social stuff, and it's like it's either someone's little secret in the handbag, you know, maybe they're not with the partner or something, or maybe they are, and it's very non-threatening, particularly from a partner's point of view as well. It's like, cool, you know, let's play with this, you know, new thing. But it's not, it doesn't feel threatening in any way. It's just an addition. Just a good little
it's just
fun,
a really fun addition. Yeah. And I think the feedback we've had from, like, initially we get some feedback from males in particular that are like, oh, you're going to put us out of business, or you know, like, putting us out of business is probably the most common thing. But then guys that are in relationships with women are often actually the ones that are like, this is awesome. Like, I've got to do way less work, way less effort. Way less effort. They feel like the man because they're like, you know, they're open to it and stuff. And I think once, in my experience anyway, and from the feedback of people we've talked to, guys think it's awesome as well. They just feel like the man. Yeah. And so that's slowly becoming normal as well, because it's probably, I don't know, but from a guy's, from hearing all of that at the start, like, oh, you're making us redundant. Like, what are you redundant,
doing?
that's the word.
To now the support we kind of get from males as well.
That's brilliant. I mean, what I've noticed, especially on the, not so much the confessions, but some of the things that get posted on the Instagram stories, is even the people that are experiencing it for the first time are having their minds blown. And I don't know if that's to do with the fact that it's this kind of slightly new thing in the sort of sex toy, this, you know, clitoral vacuum thing, or what it is, but people seem to be like wow, like really wow. Like, I was maybe masturbating before, but now this is like changed the game. Well, I don't know. It just seems like the feedback's been really good.
And like I say, you know, it comes back to, it's just a tool so that you can learn to know yourself a little bit more. It's something a little bit different. You've already got something great, but why not make it a little bit better? Throw it in. Doesn't have to be every time. And the feedback, like Jo mentioned earlier as well, not just from the people who have been like, oh my God, that was the best thing ever, or it got me off in 30 seconds or whatever. It's actually also for us been about the people who've said, I felt so much shame around this my whole life. Like, it's never been celebrated for me. We've even had people say, and they've been recommended it by like their counsellors and stuff as part of their healing process, and that was really rewarding for us, because there's people totally changing the way that they view things and actually really loving themselves, which has been cool.
That's brilliant.
And as from what you just said before, I think even it's a bit of a mindset that we're creating as well by normalizing it all in our stories. So before, self-pleasure for them, maybe they had this mind block, you know, that you didn't feel as comfortable doing it because there was a taboo around it, you know? So I think just that mindset of feeling empowered and stuff like that can change, like, actually how it feels as well, you know? Enjoy it a lot more.
And like you said before, the brand is evolving and you're kind of listening to your customers and stuff like that. And so the social side of things in the Sunday Confessions, I mean, it's a hilarious read, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there's something in there, and whether it's filling an information gap for people or some sort of validation that, you know, things are normal and this is allowed to happen and all these kind of great sort of things, and then to the new private Facebook group as well, right?
It's so funny you say that, because I think the two statements or questions that we get asked every time you sort of see someone new is, number one, oh my gosh, Girls Get Off is so great, and then number two, it's like, I love the Sunday Confessions. Like, it's easily everyone's favourite segment. I think it blows a lot of people's minds, but then also, like you mentioned, and we were actually talking about this in the car earlier, it's about being like, oh, well, on Sunday, you know, over the weekend, one girl used a butt plug with her boyfriend, and it's about other people seeing that and going, oh, I've never even thought about that before. Or someone being like, I had the best orgasm with a Missy Mini and a butt plug and my husband. And you don't even think about that. So I think again, it comes back to the normalisation, just the curiosity and being like, actually, that's too much for me, or actually, I've never thought about that, and maybe that's something I'd like to try.
But the need for you guys to start the private Facebook group, do you think that there's something in the fact that people want to reach out to you guys? I mean, what you've clearly created is a brand that and a product that is approachable and non-threatening, etc. But like, it's funny, isn't it, that it's filling a gap maybe it's this kind of cultural vacuum where, you know, women's pleasure is not like talked about heaps, and like you said, you know, different generations have got different hang-ups, and, you know, everyone's kind of working through their own thing. But like, particularly like younger women now, like there's so much education comes through pornography, and, you know, there's some pretty horrendous like sort of narratives and stuff that happen there, and then kind of come through as well. So to create a space that's kind of open for people to sort of be able to talk and learn and just do that kind of, is this kind of normal? Like, it seems like it's just filling that information gap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
After the first week, and it might not have even been a week, after a few days, we looked at each other and we're like, this is so much more than a vibrator brand.
Yeah.
Like, the people reaching out to us, it takes so long for a brand to build trust. And in the first week, the people just confiding in us and messaging these personal things to us, and we were a bit like, we're not experts.
Yeah.
Like,
well, we're just the facilitators.
Yeah.
Right?
And so it so quickly became for us, and we're so grateful that it did, because this is the most amazing journey ever now, you know, even though we were right back from when the idea started about normalizing it, you know, we were doing the little things like including the ear plugs in the packages, just to start the conversation with your flatmate, you know, doing like little things anywhere we could to normalize it and make it something open to talk about. But we just had no idea back then that they would come to us for all of this as well. So it's incredible. It's been incredible, and that's where we're branching out to those uncensored Facebook groups, so women have a safe place that they can talk to other women. You know, we get people asking I guess advice and, you know, different scenarios, what would you do type of thing like that.
And I think, like, when we surveyed our audience on Instagram stories, like, and we said, you know, how much do you share with your friends? And I think we did a little bit of a poll, and it was like, people share most, but not everything. And there's the questions that we get sometimes, I think Jo and I discussed, we were like, these people have no one else to talk to. Like, these people going, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Am I abnormal? This has happened. And by us being able to post that anonymously for them on their behalf into the Facebook group, that's just allowed other people in there that have had similar experiences to share their experiences and maybe how they've dealt with it. And I think that that's been really helpful for the people sort of involved, because otherwise, if it's something that they feel really uncomfortable about, they might not be able to.
Especially for people to feel normal just by somebody coming back and saying, oh my gosh, that's happened to me too. We also have guest experts and stuff as well, that we give any questions to that are out of our
Yeah. Well, and again, like at the end of the day, we've been, from the beginning, we're just all about being the facilitators for the conversation. So we're not about to overnight start to become sex experts.
Yeah,
more than happy to speak from our own experiences, but where we can't, and we're actually, there's way better people who that's their strength. They've done this for years, so that's why we're really happy to have them on board, to help people through different things and actually, come back to that normality.
What do you suppose is the biggest, like, the most unexpected thing, or the biggest learning that since the conversation on the driveway, what's like blown your mind? I mean, I guess it's been quite a journey, but is there anything in particular that stuck out?
I think there's been a couple of things for me. I think even though I'd consider myself an open person, we get you start to realise how many things you just think because it's you that's normal or not normal, and then we might do like a survey on Instagram, and I'm going to think of one example was like, how many people, or have you ever faked an orgasm? We did a Never Have Ever game, and the numbers were like thousands of girls. It was actually like it was probably less than 20% hadn't faked an orgasm. Like, it was ridiculous. And me personally, I've never done that because I'm like, well, you didn't make me orgasm.
Yeah.
But and that's something that I'd never even considered before, and I was like, wow. So for starters, there's stuff like that, and then I can't think of my other surprising thing.
You were surprised, to be fair, right back going from the start, you were just surprised at everything, and I was like, Viv, we've just spent a year putting all our knowledge into something, like getting the best of the best people to help us out to create something. I was like, stop letting it blow your mind. It's doing what we have worked so hard for it to do. But as far as like a standout moment, I think it's just kind of what people are willing to share with us. For me,
it would then be for me, having worked in the social media space for years, the stats around our account, particularly Instagram and what we're getting, I've never seen those stats on an Instagram account before. Like, maybe unless it was like a viral reposting account in 2016 might have had stats like that, but just like the shares we're getting, the website taps, the visits for an account that's using no paid advertising has been phenomenal, and it just demonstrates the demand that's out there for people who want to come together and learn and just have a nosy, and then
and have some fun and make it something enjoyable to talk about, make it such a positive experience rather than something you have to like hide behind a closed door.
Absolutely. Do you think that you will sort of lean into that advice space in the future as well, or branch into anything else?
Definitely Viv and I won't, I don't think, but personally, but as a brand, 100%, there'll be experts constantly along the way, and as the need for it grows, we'll just keep having it accessible to people. I'd say definitely the advice, but just not from Viv and I. Don't take advice from Viv and I.
Well, we're the founders and the business owners, and we understand the problem and how to market it properly. And all the bits that come along
and
with
we love every aspect of it. But I don't do relationships or anything properly myself.
But that's why the whole business is worked, right? Because we can identify where our strengths are, and we're not about to try and pretend to be everything. We can identify a problem and find a solution for it so that it serves our customer the best.
Exactly. I'm just all about providing the most value we can, and that is about getting the people that are great at their job on board to provide that value.
This isn't it then. There's more products coming down the line. Maybe you're going to direct some female directed porn or something, like, it's gonna
I just wouldn't rule anything out. We're huge thinkers,
just see where it takes you.
I think we realised today that September, it's only been 5 months. It's probably be the 5-month mark in a few days. So it's still very fresh, and we've got lots on the cards, so it's very exciting.
Absolutely. I just before we came in here, actually, just in the car, we got a review that it was just like, thank you. I should just pull it up and read it. but it was such an eye-opener that it wasn't about, let's make sure my volume's down on my phone. Thank you. I feel like my whole life has been a lie. I never knew sex could be this good. You guys are the best. And that was like I just looked at Viv and I'm like, oh my gosh, she didn't say, like, she said sex.
Yeah.
A lot of our reviews have, Missy Minnie and stuff in it. But for it to improve her sex life, and I don't know whether she's talking about the toy, whether she's talking about confessions that have just made her feel more comfortable to explore, you know what I mean? But this is like improving her sex life in general. And it's, like, how rewarding is that? That's just such a great feeling. So every time, we're getting so many reviews, and every time I'm just like more pumped to go further and further. So that's really cool.
In terms of the product itself, and sort of any unexpected learnings around that, we had a guest on. They're from Australia and Canada. They do sex toys for people with disabilities, and they thought they were going to go in one particular direction, and they realised, through their process of research and development, that what they were generating isn't just like sexual pleasure, but through their toy, which is got this kind of cuddle element to it as well. This real like sense of like intimacy, I guess, and stuff like that. And I was wondering if there's anything, and they didn't see that coming at all. You know what I mean? They were just like, wow, But I was wondering if, because what you've created is this sense of, I guess, this thing that is it's not non-threatening, but what's the word for it? It's
intimidating.
It's just this. I don't know. It's like a little. It's almost. You've named it. It's.
Well, exactly. All, and that was all thought out. Like this is why when Viv's like mind blown, and I'm like, everything was planned. Nothing in this whole business was a fluke. Like we thought of every little thing that we needed to do.
Yeah.
So that's funny you bring up the name.
It's just great because it's like, I don't know. It almost.
Like a friend.
It's like a little friend. It always has this little personality, and I wonder if people have a relationship with it in a kind of almost unexpected way.
Yeah, hopefully. It's like they're Missy Minnie. Can't go without it type of thing. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
In terms of its features, let's go back to the product for a minute. It is fully waterproof, so that's like submergible. Is that right? Yeah. But does it partner up with anything else, lube, or I don't know? Is it any that?
This is all along the way. So this is definitely just our starting point.
Yeah.
Starting toy. We've got products in development. We've got lube. We've got wipes, cleaning wipes and stuff like that.
Okay.
So this was definitely just a starting point for us.
Amazing.
It'll definitely always be a company. One of the main problems we identified at the start was, if you don't want to go to a CD sex shop, you've got the online stores. Great. How do you choose out of thousands of different toys that it's like, you're just so overwhelmed? What's the difference between the $100 one and the $350 one? Like, who knows? Yeah. So we really wanted to take the guesswork out. We wanted to trial it on girls, make sure that, of course, everybody's different, so it's going to work different ways on everybody, but, really narrow it down to the one that ticks the boxes for the most for the
people.
Girls, for most people, and keep our range small. So, tested by girls, selling it, this is a product that's...
And reviewed and
100%. Yeah. So it, it was definitely another thing we wanted to, but our range will always be small just for that reason.
So is there going to be a Missy Maxi out there? Back to my 12-inch black rubber top. Sorry about that.
There will be no black.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, isn't it, talking about the gaps that have sort of arisen, and this is filled as a product, and what you've been discovering about your audience and stuff like that. Like, what was your own sex education like, and where were the kind of the gaps in your own, like you said, you're quite an open person, but I was kind of interested in the broader conversation about where these gaps kind of come from in culture and society and stuff like that. Why people would be like, oh my god, there's this fantastic sex toy company, and I've just got to email them about this problem. Am I normal or something like that? Like, but so yeah, your own sex education, was it as
I think
normal?
I've been, since having talked to lots of people on this topic, I think I've come to realise that I was very privileged actually with my sex education at Tauranga Girls College, like having spoken to friends who were, say, at like a Catholic school, and the only sex education they got was to carry around a rubber fetus to understand what it would be like if they had an abortion. I kid you not. They did no other sex education.
Yeah.
Tauranga Girls, we had it in science, we had it in health, and we had it in PE, and it was coming from all angles. It was very clear about what consent was. It was like, I remember one PE teacher being like, even if you're both naked and he's got his penis out, it's about to touch you, you can still say no. And it was a group of girls being like, whoa! So it was really fucking clear.
Yeah.
But the part that was probably missing, and if I look back to, say, intermediate before college, then there was a part missing from, if the boys and girls are split up, and then maybe boys are talking about wet dreams and masturbating, but girls are just talking about getting their period, and it's all very like scary and stuff.
Yeah.
And even through high school and stuff, learning about all different types of contraception, so it was really clear on, diseases and consent and stuff, but there was a part around pleasure missing. Now that I sort of look back on that, and actually, how positive would that be if in high schools, for example, you could talk to women about that, so that moving forward, they just felt like normal about exploring themselves before they go and meet other people.
Yeah.
How about you?
My education came from the sealed section of like Cosmopolitan magazine.
Oh yeah.
That my friends would buy because I wasn't even allowed to buy it. And yeah, I don't know if I was just away on sex ed days at school. Who knows? But I don't remember. I'm also old, so it's just too far ago.
Maybe it didn't happen.
I don't know, but I don't remember. There definitely wasn't anything about pleasure. If anything, it would have been periods and that's it for sex ed for girls. Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I actually do remember in PE, the like getting pregnant thing was definitely a big thing, which I kind of rate. Like it was, and we even watched this video around a girl who got pregnant at 16, and then she came into school and talked to us.
And here's my baby.
Yeah. Well, it was growing up now, but so it was pretty clear on
That's
like
amazing.
This is the pill. There's so many different types. There's so many different ways of contraception, which is quite cool.
And I was even pre-Google days, so like pre-internet, I guess. So like my generation, kind of like in that older teenage years, didn't even have the porn accessible education that like is the wrong way to get it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't call it education,
Oh,
but
but
that's
it
where
is,
a lot of
so
people. That's where a lot of people are getting their knowledge from. No, we didn't even have. We didn't even have that.
I'm pre-Google as well, and the amount of misinformation that used to circulate through groups of teenage boys is unbelievable. I do remember though, and I think it's potentially to do with the narratives in porn and stuff. I don't want to bang on about it too much, but there was some focus on female pleasure back, and this was kind of in the 90s. It was almost like that's the goal. If you could give a girl an orgasm or something, and it's like
positive.
then you're sort of done. But I think it's like, again, it was all on some very shaky ground about you need the biggest car stereo system, with the biggest subwoofer, but it still was kind of the goal, but it seems to have sort of slipped away, and now it's much more about that kind of narrative that you see and hear, the choking or the gagging blowjobs and all these kind of things, and it's like, I wonder, it just seems odd to think back, like when I was 15, what it must be like to be a sort of 15-year-old boy now, or 15-year-old girl now, and this is kind of the normality, and you're like, oh, am I meant to do that? Like,
well, and so I've heard from talking to friends in the industry or within programs like Mates and Dates, is that the conversation around pornography, which is in its own, is something that comes up all the time, and actually kids are are going to watch it. They're going to see it somehow, even if they're not searching it up. Someone might show it to them on the bus.
Yeah.
And it's probably, again, from what I've heard from teachers and stuff, it is the missing piece at the moment in schools that's probably not being talked about. And it comes back to, I need to remember the stats, but before sex ed was actually in schools, they freaked out that, oh my God, if we talk about sex all the time, then all these kids are going to go and start having sex and get pregnant. But all it does is the opposite in that it's like, it's there, you know, this is how to do it safely, and actually
maybe that was
positive. But yes, I think that's probably the next stage as well for, and I'm sure there's high schools and stuff out there doing it, and I think certain programs and stuff that go into schools. But like I say, it depends on what the school's views are on it, because there's still schools out there talking about abortion with rubber. Whatever it is.
Crazy. But even for 15-year-old boys to be talking about it, it is not something that me and my girlfriends would talk about. You know what I mean? Like, that was, gosh, that's like, so just, you know, that's how not okay it was. It was not a thing. Whereas nowadays, it's well, now we're changing it. It's open, you know, open conversation as much as male masturbation is.
And even at high school, I suppose, it's not even that you were like afterwards going to chat with your friends about certain things. It was more that like the information is just like fire hosed at you from certain classes, you know. So whether you like it or not, you kind of have to absorb some of it.
Yeah. No, I just remember all the misinformation, you know. Yeah. But what can you do when you get no way of checking, right?
Well, and we're having this conversation on the way up as well, that along with misinformation, like it's, some of it is on girls as well, faking orgasms all the time, like giving males the wrong idea of what girls like and stuff. And I was like, gosh, because I've been a faker, like, and I was like, gosh, I'm actually doing the next girl a disservice because he's going to go in thinking that the person the other night said he goes down and it's like he's trying to light a fire or something, and you're like,
she loved it.
And if she's faking it like I've done, you know, like, oh, I think they're married, so he's not going to go light the fire with someone else, but for, you know, just someone single, like, oh, sorry, next girl. Like, he's gonna think you like that.
Absolute man.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna be a faker anymore.
Well done. Yeah, it's a good pledge. So in terms of where people can find you, where people can just disappear into your social media and join your private Facebook group and buy your products and all that kind of stuff, do you want to take that away?
Well, where Girls Get Off on Instagram is probably the best place to start, because that's where we post most of our great content. And then following that is girlsgetoff.co.nz, and our Facebook group is called Girls Get Off Uncensored. So you can come in there, and we've got admin pages on there which you can submit your maybe anonymous questions or things that you'd like to hear others' feedback on, or even if you just want some recommendations or you want to post a funny meme. Come on into the group. It's a really positive experience, so more than welcome to come and join.
And you have to be female to join the group?
You do have to be female to join the group.
Okay,
we're getting a lot of random males trying to join at the moment. But we put a lot of effort into weeding out all the bots and fake accounts so that it's a safe space.
Yeah, that's good. I sort of see on the story sometimes, it's like, oh, do you do this? I'm like, no, this is not for me. I don't want to skew the results.
Lots of guy friends that do it. It's so funny.
We're actually getting quite a few male followers on our Instagram just for educational purposes, which is great. It's so good to see.
Oh, it's such a wonderful eye-opener.
Lots of friends of ours just love it. They just think it's so funny. Yeah, it's awesome.
No, it is a real hoot. Do you think that I mean, couples and stuff like that, it's a very relevant kind of conversation, you know, for blokes to be exposed to.
Absolutely.
So
I've had a few people say to me, oh my gosh, me and my partner watch it every Sunday, like listen, watch it.
I'll put it on the big TV.
But no, they do it as a couple as well, so it's an entertaining Sunday night activity.
And actually what we find as well with our audience is then I think sometimes there's this idea that vibrators are for like single people who can't get any. But actually, when surveyed, like the majority of our audience was in a relationship, and lots of them just want to do something differently. They want to spice things up. So actually, it's actually more. And the word hubby is probably the most commonly used term in confessions. It's the married people out there that are holding the fort for everyone and giving us content.
Yeah, but I get such a thrill sometimes. Like, we'll post a confession a week ago, Sunday, say, and it was like, oh my gosh, my house guests left and my husband pushed me up against the wall and like fucked me hard or whatever. And then the next Sunday, somebody was like, oh, our house guest left and my hubby like bent me over the counter, and I'm like, are you getting ideas from us? Yeah. So I think I like have this feeling that people are just kind of getting ideas from it as well, and it's spicing things up for them. So
well, that's the thing, you know, it shows a bit of normalization, and it shows kind of what normal people are up to. You don't have to go to porn and, you know, get your ideas from there.
Totally. And it means if you're in a couple, you can totally blame it on the podcast, blame it on the Girls Get Off Instagram page, you know, like, would you do this? Not like, I think we should do this. And, you know, it can start a conversation as well, and it doesn't have to then be intimidating, or you don't have to feel like a weirdo for maybe asking for something that you think is a little bit abnormal. You just do it under the guise of Sunday confessions or something.
If you haven't been happy with how your partner's going down on you, just be like, oh, I heard on Girls Get Off last week that doing it this way is really good. Can you try that? Yeah, exactly. Blame it on us.
You happy to take the blame?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's good. All right, well, maybe I'll try something and, you know, I'll let you know.
What this butt plug?
No, I don't think that's the jam, but the cute little non-threatening ones are, definitely. It's funny, I sort of was looking into sort of other sex toys, and you're right, even you have to have, if you're going to buy a sex toy for you and your partner, you have to sort of decide as a partnership, I think. You know, for me, I don't know that it was going to be like, surprise, you know, there's a vibrating tongue, or there's a huge penis, or, you know, all these other things, like, it's, you know.
Well, it's about communication.
Yeah, it's all about communication.
Although, to be fair, like, if it's like some realistic, veiny, big thing, I can see how that is, like, in a relationship, how the guy might be like, hey, you know, a little bit, a little bit more offended by it if it's like this giant, just a big giant dick.
I don't know.
Yeah, but then you think of, like, I don't know. I don't find it, I'm not a guy though, but I don't find it as intimidating bringing something just fun in that isn't like trying to offend you in size or anything like that. Yeah.
The one thing that and this wasn't a personal thing, but the one thing I heard
asking for a friend,
right, is that there can be some hilarious noises made with it because of the vacuum aspect.
Oh, I suppose it does sound a little bit gurgly sometimes, but it's really quiet.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be able to hear it in the next room unless there's paper
It's
walls.
definitely quiet than some of it, like, other toys we've heard that you could
and even then
I doors down.
I've teased it with my flatmates. I'm like, can you hear it now? Can you hear it now? And you can't.
So you don't have to get yourself a soundproof studio.
But it's definitely it's like a pulse vacuum. I had one email come in from a lady that's like, look, it doesn't pick up a piece of paper. It's not, the vacuum's not working. And I was like, it isn't like a vacuum cleaner. Like, you don't want to just suck your clit up there and like
never let go.
I'm like, it does pulse on and off. So it does make that little
and when it's
little sound.
And when it's on skin, like, you can barely hear it.
We should have brought one in to give you guys a listen.
I hope you enjoyed that. If you need more Girls Get Off in your life, which I would argue that you probably do, then head on over to girlsgetoff.co.nz for their products. But I highly recommend, if you couldn't tell from the interview, that you follow them on social at Girls Get Off on Insta and Facebook. Once you've done all of that and treated yourself or someone else to a Missy Mini, you could leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us at sexandspace.com, that's sexandspace.com, on Insta and Facebook, or flick us an email at hello@sexandspace.com and give us a piece of your mind. What do you bloody think you're up to talking all this smut? Massive thanks to all our guests, to the team at String Theory, and again to you for making it all the way to the end. Until the next one, bye.
If you found some of this material a little challenging, keep coming back, and we'll make it really challenging.